This is Nike's latest sneaker in their storied Pegasus line, the Pegasus 41. But is this shoe better than the Pegasus 40 and also one of the best running/lifestyle sneakers of the year? Let's find out. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm reviewing the brand new Nike Peg 41. So over the last few months I've gotten back into running. Now with that being said, I'm not like a marathon runner or anything, but I do run about 3 times a week and I've really enjoyed testing out different running sneakers. My current go-tos are the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V4 and the Mizuno Neo Vista. The Neo Vista being much more of a very springy and marathon style running sneaker, and the Rebel V4 being much more of a very cushioned and plush ride. And actually, to be fair, both of these shoes are incredibly plush underfoot. This one's a bit more springy because it's actually got this hard strobel board or spring plate. I think it's actually called the Mizuno Wave Plate in the midfoot, so it actually bounces you into the next step. This one doesn't have that. There is a pro version that does have that, but this one's a much more, I would say, soft and plush and I guess recovery run style shoe. So for me, someone who really enjoys max cushion shoes, switching to the Pegasus 41 was a bit of a transition. However, this shoe is definitely one of the most comfortable Pegasus sneakers that I've ever run in or walked in. So unlike the relatively minor jump between the Pegasus 39 to the Pegasus 40, the jump between the Pegasus 40 to the Pegasus 41 is a little bit larger, and there's a lot more going on in this shoe than there was on previous models. And Nike actually made some pretty large improvements on the Pegasus 41 over the Pegasus 40. And of course, we'll get into all of that later on in the review, but if you want to grab a pair of Nike Pegasus 41s, they did officially release at the beginning of June, at least in the United States, for a retail price of $140. They also released in a couple different colorways, like a neon green colorway, which I think was like the launch super limited colorway, which I actually kind of liked, but I really see myself wearing the shoe on a very regular basis, and a fully neon green sneaker is not something I'd see myself rocking other than to run in. So I went for the much more laid-back white, teal, and gray colorway, which I actually think is even cleaner, and it also features some nice little hits that you didn't get on the green colorway because it's not just this monochromatic shoe. You get some nice panels with contrasting colors. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But either way, if you want to grab any pairs of Nike Pegasus 41s, I've made sure to link them through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. I've also linked the Pegasus 40 because I believe the Pegasus 40 is actually on sale right now. And while there is a pretty large jump between the Pegasus 40 and the Pegasus 41 in terms of iterative improvements, overall the Pegasus 40 is still a good shoe and you can get it for cheaper. So if you want to grab that one, again, linked at the top of the screen with the Pegasus 41. I literally just ran in these, so I've got a lot of adrenaline. I'm like hyped at the moment. That's why I'm talking so fast. Visually, the Pegasus 41 is different, but not a major overhaul from the Pegasus 40, and I'm fine with that. The Pegasus line in general is a pretty toned down, pretty simple, pretty clean, everyday looking sneaker, the kind of shoe that you can wear to the office in the morning and then go on a run or go to the gym in. It's a really great all around everyday shoe. And I think that's why the Pegasus line has been so appealing for people. Not only does it look good, it's a very comfortable shoe to wear every day, but it also is a decent running sneaker. Like, it's not the most plush running sneaker in the world, it's also not the fastest running sneaker in the world, but it's a great all-around everyday trainer, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, versatility, and the Pegasus 41 has that in spades. But jumping into the materials that make up the Pegasus 41, this shoe features a brand new, or I guess slightly tweaked, engineered mesh on the toe of the shoe that actually continues around a majority of the sneaker. In my opinion, it's a bit stretchier, it's a bit more breathable, it has a bit more give than the Pegasus 40. Again, it's not a night and day difference, but it is nice. And if you've never tried the Pegasus 40 or any of the recent Pegasus sneakers, it's just an all-around comfortable, breathable shoe. You're gonna be happy with it. Texture-wise, it's almost a Flyknit. It does have an internal backing, so you're not gonna get as much breathability as you would if you were just running in raw Flyknit. But I think for most people, that backing underneath the engineered mesh might be a good thing because, in my opinion, it will increase the longevity of the shoe. Continuing up on the shoe, you get to these eye-stay loops, which are obviously a little bit different than eye-stay eyelets, which are usually just holes in the sides of the shoe. The reason Nike uses these loops instead of eyelets is because of their dynamic midfoot system, which essentially is a material or a fabric that wraps underneath your foot, and when you tighten the shoe, not only does it pull the sides of the shoe together, but it also pulls this material from underneath your foot a little bit closer together, which gives you a bit more arch support and a much more secure fit. And I've got to say that the fit of the Nike Pegasus 41 is solid. It feels really, really good underfoot. In fact, for sizing, I would recommend going true to size with the Nike Pegasus 41. I'd say in general, Nike is really good with sizing, so if they say a size is a size 9, which I am a size 9, then grab the size 9 and you should be good to go. Another nice option about the Nike Pegasus 41 is that it also comes in wide foot options, so if you have a significantly wider foot than normal, you can grab the wide foot option. I think this shoe is actually relatively wide on its own, at least wider than previous Pegasus models, so if you're a slightly wider footer, you might be fine just going with the standard fit, but the nice thing about Nike is that they allow you to try the shoe on and then return it. So what I would do personally if you weren't sure about the fit is obviously first of all try the shoe on in store, and if that's not available to you, then maybe buy the shoe on Nike's website, try it on, and then return it if it doesn't fit for you. But again, I would say this shoe fits true to size, at least for regular width people like myself. Narrow footers should be fine. Even people with slightly wider feet would be okay in these shoes as well, because I really do feel like this forefoot area is wider than usual. That being said, Nike did say that they're using the same exact last as they used on the Nike Pegasus 40, So if you have that shoe and you like the way it fits, I would say grab the same size that you have in that shoe and you should be just fine. To be fair, I'd still recommend going true to size in the Nike Pegasus 40. So if you decide to grab that shoe instead of the 41 to save a couple bucks and you want to grab it through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen, again, true to size is probably the way to go. Of course, weaving through these lace loops, you've got these flat white laces, which work fine. They tie nicely. They don't come untied like some flat laces sometimes do. Anytime I went running or walking in this shoe, the laces were fine. The lockdown was good. They never came untied, which is a plus. If you're new to my channel and haven't watched any of my more hype sneaker reviews, there are pairs of Jordan sneakers that for whatever reason, the laces cannot stay tied. I don't understand it. It sucks. But for Nike's more, I guess, performance-focused sneakers, which Jordan sneakers were performance-focused back in the day, at least the older models, for some reason, some laces just don't want to stay tied. Underneath the laces, you have a really well-padded tongue, which I've heard some people complain about because they feel like it gets a little bit too hot. I personally like it because it gives me some cushion on top of my foot. I am a plush boy. I love plush cushioning for shoes, so I'm all about it. Even if the shoe gets a little bit hot, like I said, I'm used to old retro Jordan sneakers, and those shoes get hot all the time, so I'm used to it. But if you don't like a tongue that in some cases can get a little bit warmer, then maybe don't go with this one, but in my opinion, it's not a deal breaker. Plushness, though, does feel nice. And when you compare it to the New Balances that I usually run in, this is just like a very thin fabric tongue, which yes, is more breathable, but doesn't offer any kind of cushioning. At the top of the tongue, you've got your Nike Pegasus branding, which is a nice hit, especially in this sort of black and teal colorway. And then moving inside the shoe, you've got this really nicely padded sock liner, which actually has a lot of heel support, which I appreciate. A really nice amount of heel support. That heel counter is nice and stiff. You've got some nice padding around this high ankle area. And then inside the shoe, you've got this pretty thin but pretty comfortable foam midsole that says Nike Running, established 1972, just do it. Continuing back to the midfoot of the shoe, the engineered mesh changes up a little bit. Obviously on this colorway it turns to gray, but that knit area, the gray area, is a significantly wider knit than it is on the rest of the upper of the shoe other than the toe. So you actually do get some nice breathability there. There is a backing, but it's only attached to the bottom half of the inside of the shoe, so you get some nice breathability that kind of comes up around the top of your foot. It's not like hugely noticeable, at least not the way that I described it, but it is nice. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera. You probably can't. I can't find a good way to film this, but you can actually see between the backing and the knit, the straps that kind of wrap all the way underneath your feet from the laces. So they are there. I can confirm those straps are there. It's not just Nike marketing. Of course, smack dab in the middle of the midfoot, you've got this black Nike swoosh and this TPU material. Also, I forgot to mention on the top two eyelets on either side of the shoe, you do have another panel, which again seems like TPU or some sort of rubbery plastic, which should provide some extra reinforcement for locking down the shoe, which is good. Again, giving you some more durability, which should lead to some more longevity in this shoe. Moving around to the medial side of the upper, the construction looks the same. You've got the same knit. The only difference is the Nike swoosh is smaller and in teal this time around. Then moving around towards the heel, you've got more of that engineered mesh, which looks like it's more breathable there, but there's an internal heel counter that blocks all the airflow, so it's just purely a visual effect. And then you've got these two reflective strips right there for night running, if you decide to do that. But then we move down on the shoe to the largest difference between the Pegasus 40 and the Pegasus 41, and that of course is the midsole. So right off the bat, the midsole is a little bit chunkier than the Pegasus 40. You're getting a bit more foam in this shoe. There's a 10mm drop from heel to toe. Now, interestingly enough, like previous Pegasus sneakers, there are two cushioning setups in this shoe. You've got Nike Zoom Air in both the forefoot of the shoe and in the heel of the shoe, but surrounding that Nike Zoom Air, the internal Nike Zoom Air, you've actually got Nike React X foam. Nike claims that Nike React X is 13% more responsive than standard Nike React, and I found from my own personal experience that it does seem a little bit softer than standard Nike React. Now, what's interesting is that Nike React X is actually not a different foam than Nike React. It's the same exact foam. The only difference is the manufacturing process. And you might be saying to yourself, well, if it's the same exact foam, why does it feel different underfoot, and why is it 13% more responsive? I'm not denying Nike's claims there. It's just a very specific number that probably differs from shoe to shoe because weights differ from pair to pair. It's crazy. You would be surprised. In fact, purely to illustrate a point, I realize this is a tangent here, but let me weigh both sides of the pair and you'll see that they're different. The right side of the pair comes in at 10.1 ounces, and the left side of the pair comes in at 10.2 ounces. Not a huge difference, but there is a difference. Also, the weight Nike specs on their website's a little bit heavier, but to be fair, it looks like they're speccing a US size 10, which is weird because they usually spec a US size 9. I'm not sure why they're going with a 10. So that would account for the weight, but still. But getting back to what I was saying, the reason that Nike React X is different than Nike React is because of the manufacturing process. Nike React is compression molded, which means that it's a foam and they compress it into shape, and that's how you get the shape of the shoe. Nike React X is injected molded, which means that it's shot into a mold very quickly through like a pretty large syringe, which basically means that more air gets trapped in the foam during the manufacturing process, and because it's not being compressed, the foam isn't as dense. Nike React X is allowed to expand into the mold, whereas Nike React is compressed into the mold. So because of that, you're getting a lighter and more airy foam, which means more responsiveness and also more cushion underfoot. And from what I can tell, it is kind of noticeable. It's not like a huge night and day difference, but it does feel bouncier, it does feel softer. It might also be because there's more foam in the midsole, I don't know. But it does feel good underfoot. And honestly, for an everyday, all-day sneaker that you can run in the mornings, it's pretty comfy. Now obviously the cushion in this shoe is not going to be as soft as the Nike Invincible 3s or the New Balance FuelCell Rebel V4s or any of the max cushion shoes, but it is soft underfoot, it is comfortable, and if you prefer a slightly more firm ride than those max cushion shoes, this shoe is not a firm shoe whatsoever, but it is firmer than those shoes, then this is a great way to go. In my opinion, it's like the perfect amount of cushion for an everyday wear sneaker. And it looks good, which is a huge plus. On a personal note, I also kind of like the way that this midsole looks. I like the new sculpting. I like how it has this sort of bubble to show the air zoom unit in the forefoot, and then this huge bubble towards heel with this texture. It says Nike React X. And then on the medial side, how you've got this sort of black accent that ties into the midfoot panel. I don't know, it's a really cool looking shoe, and I think they did a really nice job of subtly adjusting the look to make it very, very clean and very wearable. And then finally, moving to the bottom of the shoe, you've got this updated traction pattern, which actually has more rubber on the outsole of the shoe than previous versions of the shoe, and they made it a little bit simpler. It's now just, looks like 2 panels on the outsole of the sneaker versus like the 7 or 8 that were on the Nike Pegasus 40, which I think is a huge plus. Traction in the shoe, excellent, had no issues. Walked and run in this shoe in wet conditions, not rainy, but wet. Also ran in this in just dry conditions, and I had no issues whatsoever. It's a great everyday all-around shoe and a great everyday training shoe, at least traction-wise. So in my opinion, the Nike Pegasus 41 is like a solid A. It's a great all-around sneaker. There are better options if you're looking for specific running categories. For example, a slightly more cushioned shoe or a slightly faster shoe or a shoe with less drop or more drop or whatever. There's a million different running sneaker options out there. But if you're looking for a pair of shoes from Nike specifically that you can wear to the office and that you can wear to the gym, you can run in, you can do whatever you want in except for probably play basketball. I guess you could if you wanted to, but I definitely wouldn't recommend playing basketball in a running sneaker. If you're looking for a great all-around everyday shoe for pretty much any kind of activity, the Pegasus 41 is an excellent choice. The fact that it not only looks good, but is also very comfortable underfoot, not too cushioned, but also much more cushioned than other shoes on the market. It's very breathable, it fits true to size, which you can't say for all brands. All around, it's a great shoe, and it's a solid improvement over the 40. It's not a night and day difference, but I definitely like the fact that they made more changes on this shoe than they did from the Pegasus 39 to the Pegasus 40, and all of the changes that I've experienced so far in the last like 4 or 5 days of having this shoe, I'm happy with. Again, if you guys want to grab the Pegasus 41 or even the Pegasus 40, make sure to check out the YouTube shopping tab on your screen or links in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know your thoughts on this sneaker in the comment section down below. And as always, I will see you all in the next one.